Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology. Today's topic is strong activation of Pisces zodiac sign, which shows naval war, maritime issues, water poisoning around mid of April 2025. We will analyze the astrological planetary placements during this time period and see why we are predicting this as major event which is about to come within the next 4 months. Now this is the planetary placement around 13th April to 15th April 2025, and on the left hand side chart you can see a purple circle, that is the sign of Pisces, which is heavily loaded with 6 planets: Neptune, Mercury, Sun, Saturn, Venus and Rahu. In that you can see Saturn, Rahu and Venus are at the exact same degree, that is between 0 and 1 degrees. Saturn and Rahu are at 1 degrees, Venus is at 0 degrees. Now Pisces as a zodiac sign is a watery sign and it represents the ocean. So you can see the water element or the ocean is heavily activated in this time period. And you can also see the sun placed in this sign along with Saturn, Venus and Rahu. I want you to look at the other water sign, which is the sign of Cancer or Kark, and you can see the blue circle in the left hand side chart, that is the sign of Cancer. Now India has the Taurus ascendant, and the third house in India's chart is the sign of Cancer, and this third house where Mars is placed represents India's borders and its neighboring countries, and Mars is the planet of war. So this time clearly shows war getting activated along India's borders or with some of its neighboring countries. Now in India's horoscope, Moon is the third lord and therefore it represents India's borders, India's neighbors, and you can see Moon is placed in the sign of Libra or Tula, which is the 6th house in India's chart. You can see the green circle in the left hand side chart. Being the 6th house in India's chart, it indicates enemies, conflicts with partners. Libra is a sign of partnership. Libra is a sign of harmony. And when the moon goes here, it shows that this enmity is coming through border disputes, mostly along the seas or maritime issues. Moon represents the water element. The sign of Pisces is heavily activated. Venus, who is the 6th lord and the ascendant lord in India's chart, is also placed in the sign of Pisces, which is the 11th house of gains, network of friends, aspirations. And this being the sign of Pisces, it clearly shows maritime issues coming up in this time period. Now with which country can India have maritime issues? It could have maritime issues with Pakistan, with China, with Indonesia and with Myanmar. This purple circle in the left hand side chart where the sign of Pisces is heavily activated shows that the Bay of Bengal region, mainly the states of Orissa, West Bengal and the Andaman Islands, that could see a lot of maritime issues or water disputes with neighboring countries in this time period. And India needs to be extremely careful because Mars is debilitated in the sign of Cancer and Mars is in Saturn's Pushya Nakshatra and Moon is in Chitra Nakshatra ruled by Mars, which clearly shows heavy activation of border disputes with India's neighboring countries and a warlike situation coming up. It is also possible that one of India's neighbors or neighboring countries can wage a war on India. This could be China or Pakistan, or even through Indonesia and Myanmar using the sea route. So, this is what is clearly seen just by looking at the Lagna chart or the D1 chart. Now, if you see India's ascendant also, which is the sign of Taurus, you can see Jupiter and Uranus placed there. Now, what is Jupiter in India's chart? It is the 8th lord of sudden events, occult, accidents, self-harm, and it is also the 11th lord of gains. Taurus is a sign which represents finances. So, it shows that during this time period, India will be a world leader. Its stature in the world will increase manifold. It will gain through trade. The 11th house of India is heavily activated, which shows that it will gain through trade. But the 11th house is 6th from the 6th house, so it carries the vibration of the 6th house of conflicts, which means that during this time, India is definitely going to face maritime issues and disputes along the oceans with neighboring countries. So the sea borders, the ocean borders with China, Pakistan, Myanmar, Indonesia, those are the areas where India could face major problems. And it is also quite possible that all these countries around the Bay of Bengal, namely Bangladesh, Indonesia, Pakistan, and even China, all of these may come together and wage some kind of naval war with India during this time period. The water element is extremely activated in this time period. You can see the sign of Cancer is heavily activated. You can also see the sign of Pisces is heavily activated. Mars, being the lord of Scorpio, which is again a water sign, is placed in Cancer. So the water element is heavily activated. Now Mercury is also present in the sign of Pisces, and Mercury represents storms, tornadoes, cyclones, tsunamis. So during this time period, the Bay of Bengal region may see a major tsunami coming up, and there could be large scale destruction through the water element. Saturn and Rahu, present in the sign of Pisces, indicate some kind of water poisoning. This could happen due to oil spills or some kind of biological attack by a neighboring country also. So, in short, what I want to tell you is that during this mid-April period, around 13th to 15th April is the rough time span, you can see that the water element is heavily activated, and the coastal regions of India will face major challenges either due to flooding, tsunami, cyclone, as well as naval and maritime disputes. If you look at the Navamsha chart also, you can see Sun with Pluto in the Pisces ascendant, and that also shows the government will face major challenges during this time period because of these maritime disputes or water related destruction which is about to come up. If you look at the sign of Cancer in the Navamsha, you can see Saturn, Rahu with Venus there. Again, this shows some kind of water poisoning or some kind of disease spreading through water. And if you look at the Leo Navamsha, you can see Jupiter, Mercury, Neptune and Mars again showing disputes along the ocean or the border or power struggles along the sea borders. And again you can see the moon is placed in the Libra Navamsha, giving the same fruit. So friends, to conclude, the water element gets heavily activated and it can result in large scale floods in the coastal regions of India. Neighboring countries such as Pakistan, China, Myanmar, Bangladesh, these can wage some kind of water dispute or war with India in this time period is what is clearly seen. Rahu is poison, and when it comes in the sign of Pisces, it can indicate water poisoning, especially because it is with Saturn and Venus as well as Neptune here in the sign of Pisces. So a biological attack through water or some kind of water poisoning is also seen in this time period, and a disease could spread because of that. On the global front, India could make large scale gains with respect to trade because Jupiter is there in its ascendant and the 11th house is heavily loaded, but it is going to face lot of challenges on the water element or major disputes happening because of maritime issues with the neighboring countries is what is clearly seen. So friends, the heavy loading of the 11th house can make India a leader in global trade. However, these maritime issues, these naval wars, those are going to disturb India in a big way in the month of April 2025. We already know that on March 29, 2025, Saturn enters the zodiac sign of Mean or Pisces, and this is immediately followed by a solar eclipse there. And later it is followed by the exact conjunction of Saturn and Rahu in the sign of Pisces, and the water element becomes heavily activated. So this is a time of caution. India could have a naval war with a country like Pakistan, China, Indonesia, Myanmar, and this is definitely going to happen is what is seen based on the planetary positions. The Bay of Bengal region, especially the regions of Orissa, West Bengal, Andaman and Nicobar Islands are likely to be highly affected because of these naval wars as well as natural disasters such as cyclones, tsunamis, storms and hurricanes in this time period. We can also expect to see floods because of the cyclones in the Bay of Bengal region, and people living in these regions need to be extremely careful before this time period of April 2025 starts. So if you are living in the coastal regions of Orissa, West Bengal and Andaman and Nicobar Islands, you need to be extremely careful in this time period. Even the coastal regions such as Mumbai, Gujarat will also be affected in this time period is what is clearly seen. On the world front, I have already mentioned that naval wars will escalate in a separate video. You can watch that. So friends, this is all from my end. To know more about us, you can visit our website astroseva.tripod.com. You can also reach us through our email ID astrosevaworld@yahoo.com. So friends, thanks a lot. Bye. Take care and stay safe.